First of all, it's a great honor for me to be here with you, together with the Honorable Rector of the State University. I would like to greet Mr. Rahmanov, our excellent colleague. I would like to greet Excellencies, our excellent ambassadors of Belarus to Georgia and Georgia to Belarus, which do excellent work to strengthen the ties and to strengthen the friendship between our nations. And I would like to once again emphasize a special friendship that exists between our nations. It's not only very good political relations that we have between our two countries. First of all, it's a friendship, the historic friendship between the nations of the Republic of Belarus and Georgia. And it's our responsibility to further strengthen these ties and to further deepen the friendship between our nations. And it's excellent that we have a very good dynamic in our relations. The visit of the President Lukashenko back in 2015 played a very important role. It gave a new impetus to our relations and friendship between the two nations. Now our Prime Minister and the President visited Belarus, which played also a very important role in our relations. And now we believe that also our visit will play a very important role. It's a great honor, again, for me to hold the status of the Honorary Professor of the State University in Belarus, and I would like to once again express my gratitude to you for this very important title for me. I would like to talk a little bit about Georgia, if you allow. We are under the process of development of our country, and we are implementing very important reforms in different fields in order to strengthen the country domestically and in order to strengthen our international positions. We are implementing very important economic reforms. Economic development is one of the top priorities for Georgia, and we do our best in order to strengthen the transit function, for example, for our country, to accelerate the economic growth. And for this purpose, the government of Georgia came up with a special 4-pillar program for economic development. And one of the important aspects of this program is the development of the education system. We attach a great importance to the development of the education system. And again, it's one of the most important pillars of our economic growth program. We want to link the education system with the market requirements, and we believe that our reforms will be successful. As for the democratic reforms, we are implementing very important democratic reforms. We have signed the association agreement with the European Union, and it is one of the obligations under the association agreement to bring our system in line with the modern democratic standards. And the relevant reforms have been implemented in Georgia, and we are attaching a great importance to these reforms. As for the foreign policy priorities, we try to be a very strong partner for our friends like Belarus. We try our best to strengthen our international positions. Our top priority is the integration with the European Union, and it is the top goal reflected in the special parliamentary resolution which was adopted in December last year. And we have tangible results in this respect. We have signed the association agreement, as I mentioned. We have been granted the visa-free regime, and with this success, we believe that we will ensure the further progress towards the European Union, and the final goal is, of course, the membership, the full-scale participation in the European structures, and we believe that this goal will be achieved finally. And we have a very friendly relations with our neighbors, with Azerbaijan, Armenia, with Turkey. We have very strong relationships with the countries even in the Far East, like with China. We have a very strong economic ties with them, and we try our best to keep the friendship with the countries in the post-Soviet space. And as for the relations between Belarus and Georgia, is the key priority for us. We have, again, very friendly relations, and our motivation is to further deepen the contacts and further to deepen the friendship between our nations. I would like to highlight the constitutional reform, especially, which has been implemented in Georgia. We have recently completed this constitutional reform, and the main goal of the constitutional reform was to bring the present constitution of Georgia in line with the modern legal standards, and to ensure the establishment of a very effective system of government. And we believe that we have finally achieved this goal by adopting the new draft of the constitution. There was one of the famous constitutionalists, Hungarian constitutionalist András Sája, which states that constitution should be a product of fears. And we are afraid of some things, and we have a very negative experience with the previous constitutions, which ensured the too much consolidation of powers under one single force. And now we want to, and this consolidation of powers led to negative results for us, like the human rights situation was not really good in our country. For many years there was a problem of corruption under Shevardnadze's government, for example, and we wanted to avoid this kind of threats for our country, and for this purpose we adopted a new constitution for Georgia. It is a parliamentary system of government. We wanted to establish a European type constitution with the European type form of government. Of course, there are different forms of government, like the presidential one or the semi-presidential one, and they work very effectively in different countries. For example, the United States has the presidential system, and it is quite effective. France has the semi-presidential system, and it works very effectively in France. But in our case, we wanted to move to a different system, which is the parliamentary one, because we think that in the Georgian circumstances, this system will be most effective one. So that's why we say that it's the only predetermined decision of the State Constitutional Commission to establish the parliamentary system of government, and we have acted according to this goal. So finally, we have a new system with a strong parliament, with effective government, with independent judiciary, and with the neutral president. So that is the content of the new system established under the new constitution. We had several controversial issues with the opposition. One of them was the electoral system for the parliament. Another controversial issue was the rule of election of the president of Georgia, and the relations between the parliament and the government. That was also one of the controversial issues under the discussions. As for the electoral system for the parliament, we are moving now to the proportional system. Currently, the mixed system is in force in Georgia, which gives advantage to the ruling party. You can, for example, last time our party, the Georgian Dream Party, got 49% in the parliamentary elections, and with this 49% we managed to get the constitutional majority, which is more than 3/4 of the mandates in the parliament, and we decided to change the system. Of course, this system is again favorable for the ruling party, but despite this fact, we are changing it in order to strengthen the democracy. The main subject of controversies was the date of enactment. It was not possible for us to move to the new system, to the proportional system for the next elections, which was the request of the opposition, and we are moving to this system just after the next parliamentary elections. So that was the main issue of controversies. As for the rule of election of the president, we will switch to the indirect election of the president. Currently, the president is elected by the population directly, and we wanted to introduce the indirect election of the president because we think that this system is more suitable for the parliamentary system. And that was also one of the subjects of controversies between the ruling party and the opposition. The opposition requested to keep the president direct election of the president. But finally, we moved to the indirect election of the president, but next year the last direct election of the president will take place. We wanted to avoid any talks and speculations about the fact that maybe this was due to the subjective interests of the ruling party. We did not have any subjective interest with regard to the next presidential elections. That's why we are keeping the direct election for the next time, for the next year, and then we will move to the indirect election of the president. And the next thing is the relations between the parliament and government. According to the current constitution, the parliament is still quite weak, and after the next year we will move to a different system where it will be, for example, much easier for the parliament to dismiss the government. So we are bringing this procedure in line with the European standards. So if there is a disagreement between the parliament and the government, the parliament can dismiss the government within a few days, within 1 week period, let's say. So these are the main pillars, the main aspects of the new constitution, which has been adopted by the Georgian parliament with 3 hearings. The president vetoed it, but we override the veto. Finally, so again, the main goal of the reform was to strengthen the parliament, to ensure the effective government, to ensure the independent judiciary, and to ensure the neutral president. And finally, we believe that these goals have been achieved. So again, you cannot just copy a system from a different country. You have to design your own constitution according to your local circumstances, your local priorities, and your local fears. And we did the reform according to this approach and according to these standards. Finally, we believe, of course, this system is connected with certain risks. Of course, if you are establishing a proportional system, you have some risks with the instability. Now we are observing the situation in different countries. For example, in Netherlands, the parliament was not able to form the government for 208 days. Of course, with moving to the proportional system, these risks will appear in Georgia. The German parliament is not able to form the government at all. So these are the risks connected to the proportional system. But we believe that after 7 years, when this new system, the proportional system, will be enacted, the party system and the political system will be consolidated enough in order to avoid these kind of threats for the political system in Georgia. So finally, this was the goals of the constitutional reform, and we have acted according to the overall goals of the reform. And finally, we believe that the new constitution will promote the long-term democratic development of our country. I would like to thank you for your attention, and again I would like to thank you for granting me the title of the Honorary Professor of the State University, and I'm extremely grateful personally to the Honorable Rector, to the Academic Council of the University, to my colleagues from Belarus, and again, we are proud of our friendship between Belarus and Georgia, between our nations, and we will do our best. The Parliament of Georgia will do its best in order to strengthen this friendship and historic ties. And it's very important that this friendship is transferred to other generations, to the younger generations, and it is also one of the goals of the professors in Georgia, professors in Belarus, to talk a lot about the friendship between the nations. And with this approach and with this emotional approach, we believe that the friendship between our nations and between our states will be strengthened further. Thank you so much. Thank you for your attention.